If you're an IT team and you have complicated maintenance contracts, and almost most contracts usually are having to do with dates and all the above, but you don't want to spend more than you need on maintenance, here's an inside look at how we can help you build that hybrid strategy. So Mike, as you talked about this hybrid optimized strategy, one of the things we've got is this free IT assessment. This essentially is where we come in and we take a look at the infrastructure that you guys have, this estate list, and break it down into 3 categories to create this strategy. And this is the conversation piece. So in this, what it looks like is we share with you information about software updates and end of life dates and cycles, and what do these dates mean in terms of your equipment, and what does the OEM do in terms of support in the case, and then the economics of it all. So find out areas where you're overpaying when you might be thinking you're getting something from the OEM, and turns out they've advertised the fact that they won't provide support or updates or something. So we call it a tiered approach. As you can keep it here, we keep it very simple. Tier 1, you're crazy for not using us. This bucket of equipment typically blends in for most organizations, usually is about 40% or 50% of the equipment that you already have deployed. So that's the tier 1 equipment. We think you're crazy for not using us. Tier 2, this is where there's a meaty conversation. Let's have a conversation with your engineering team and probably your finance team to make sure you have the balance, support, and SLA coverage that you need on these devices. This is a little gray area, and this is where there's a lot of technical conversations that we're going to want to have with you guys to make sure we understand your needs. You understand any exposure or risk, regardless if it's with us or it's with the OEM, so that we can create a strategy in place to cover you. And then the 3rd tier is where you need to stick with the OEM. Think of your typically security devices, your firewalls, devices that have these constant updates and whatnot, where the OEM, that's their intellectual property, where you've got to stick with them. So that's the tier 3. So we'll break it down in tier 1, 2, and 3 with the goal of taking the tier 2s and either making them a 3 or a 1. That's kind of the strategy that we have. At the end of the day, the OEMs want you to put everything under their really expensive coverage, regardless of your internal challenges. Hopefully we're showing you some options you may or may not have known that you had.